Hello and welcome to Movie of the Year, the only podcast that has the science and the screaming to determine what the best movie is of any given year. That's how good we are. We could do. Give us a year and we'll do it. No year frightens us. No, not the top of our head. For months. We will take months and deliberate and think. But it all comes down to this.
That's a lie, too, because if I gave you guys any year that we have done previously, you would not be able to tell me what one movie of the year.
I could say for 70% of our years, I could say what the movie of the year is.
2004.
Test him.
2004 is Spotless Mind.
2001.
2001, I can't remember.
I want to say
2002.
2001 is E2 Mama.
1975.
1975 was Dog Day.
But it should have been Jaws, Greg. So I'm going to have to dock you points.
I'm impressed. You got most of this, Greg.
Yeah, 1985.
Chicanery.
Mike has said it multiple times tonight. I mean, throughout the weeks of recording this.
85 is... I can't remember.
It's Brazil. 1988 is Die Hard.
That's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about 2002, and we're determining a future movie that we will struggle to remember what it was because we are old and our brains are dying. This is part 3 in a 3-part series, so if you want to hear a bunch of cool awards and all of the first round, go back to parts 1 and 2. But if you want to just mainline that real shit, here it is. I'm Mike. That's Greg. That's Ryan. Let's dive right in.
Woo.
Round 2. Battle 1. And man, movies can be so many things when your first seed Spider-Man goes up against your 40th seed Talk to Her.
Yeah. These are different movies, man. Again, most people haven't heard of
Spider-Man
to Her. And Spider-Man is like its own genre of movies and entertainment now. Of course, this was back in the day when we thought it would be sufficient to have like one Spider-Man, and
Fools we were.
He would just web around the city. But Talk to Her is so good, and it's saying so many important things.
I get my hair cut about once every probably 6 weeks to 8 weeks. And every single time my barber says, "So how was the new Spider-Man movie?" And there's a new one every time she asks me.
We just are living in that Dr. Manhattan panel that's become a meme.
You saw that movie where the superhero is interacting with all the different versions of himself? Oh, yeah, I remember that one. That's very good.
Which one?
Are we going to be able to tell people that the 2002 movie is Talk to Her and then feel like we did a good job?
Like all of our qualifications for how we decide and what becomes, I can't in good conscience pick Spider-Man over this movie. So if that redefines what my determinations are, then that's fine. But
it's fun. It's almost like, okay, when I was not a kid, when I was like 10 or 11 or something.
That's a kid.
Okay, so when I was a kid, there would be this type of picture book for younger kids. That's the thing. My point is it wasn't for me at my age. It was for younger kids where like you could press buttons and it made sounds.
Hell yeah.
I feel like we are comparing one of those books to like an actual
to
novel.
War and Peace.
Yeah, so it's like it's fun to have the buttons that make noises. But at the end of the day, like what is the artistic endeavor?
And this is one of those times where it's definitely high time to pick nits. And if this was Spider-Man 2,
yeah, dude,
maybe we could have a conversation.
But it's Spider-Man 1. It's got Bonesaw. It's got Uncle Ben.
He's ready.
No Alfred Molina.
No Molina. Molina heads out there in shambles. Yeah,
But wait, hold on. Is one of the two... I think that is one of the two guys in Talk to Her named Molina.
Probably.
You guys talk. I'm gonna look this up. I think this is
Should
true.
we talk to him? And by that I mean each other.
Talk to Her makes you feel like there's a reason for movies. Like Spider-Man is fun, and it feels like there's a reason for Spider-Man. Talk to Her makes you think there's a reason why this medium exists, and it's for things like this.
There's a guy in the movie Kiss of the Spider Woman that's named Molina. So
Okay,
I got
very
confused
good.
there.
Same
There,
difference.
yeah, you're
Same
close.
diff.
You get a point still.
Thanks, bud.
They don't count, but
I don't think this is particularly close. I don't think that we have we enjoyed talking about Spider-Man. It was our number 1 seed because Letterboxd gave us that, but I don't think there's a lot of debate here.
should we just all 3 keys at once piss off the internet?
Yes, let's piss off the internet.
Talk to her.
Talk to
Bob.
her.
Talk to her. Oh, wait, hold on. Talk to her.
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 I'll edit it. So
Man,
these
do you
are
remember
all-
being in high school?
to
Because
her.
that's what it felt like when you were just like sitting
I don't
behind
want to.
your
okay?
crush.
All of the friends saying it to all of the friends.
I
talk
want
her,
to just
and-
look at her from across the room and feel sad. We all have our own process.
And just listening to Usher's You Got It Bad. Trying not to cry. Too real? Next battle of round 2. 20th seed Battle Royale. 12th seed Adaptation. We are what we are.
Yeah, I love.
we are
Battle
Kaufmen.
Royale. Yeah, I Battle Royale is like a movie you describe to someone and they're like, oh, I get it. And you're like, no, but wait, there's more going on in there. The movie I thought about a lot. I think it's better than this, but it was Death Race 2000, where you're
Yes.
like, in between all the silly weirdness of this, like you're making some really interesting points, and art doesn't have to always just be a slog. It can sometimes
Right.
be like fun.
What was the 04 winner, did you say?
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Okay. And now adaptation's about to move on. I'm picking up
Oh,
a,
yeah.
I'm picking up a theme.
Oh, wait,
Yeah.
we often talk about how
different we are.
Spielberg and Lee
Yeah.
are our guys, but I think we ignore the one because it would be too obvious and revealing to say who our
I-
real guys are.
I honestly feel like all season long we've showed incredible restraint to not like honestly we've had some seasons where like remember that in '88 we brought up Die Hard.
Uh-huh.
We from the jump,
Oh, it's Die
we
Hard.
were like, this is the Die Hard season where Die Hard wins. But we've been like sort of like very quietly just been like, ooh, adaptation, interesting.
Oh, is that one of the movies? I don't
But
even
like
know.
this is the last episode, so can we just say that like adaptation's gonna win and it's gonna beat Battle Royale right now?
We can't say it yet, Greg.
Yeah.
Say
Yeah,
it
that's
later.
like why they're gonna turn it off.
Okay,
we
yeah.
gotta have some
Keep
tension,
listening,
sexual
but
and otherwise.
It's gonna win. It's gonna win this one, and not because Battle Royale is a pushover, not because of anything bad about Battle Royale, but because of when you put strength versus strength, adaptation's the better movie.
Yeah, those kids are weak.
Adaptation is just a non-stop ball of like invention. It's just
Like, what do you want? Do you want entertainment? Do you want laughs? Do you want sexiness? Do you like? I mean, we've got it. We've got it on tap. Just tell us what you want.
And like for a movie in the final act to be like the whole first 2/3 are just boring artsy fartsy bullshit, but in the third act to finally realize what a movie does and fucking do it with like gators biting things.
Yeah, dude. Gators,
Oh,
bring them in.
Oh, movies are stupid. I got this. Me and
Honestly,
you.
he does repair the central missing element of the book, though, which is in the movie, she gets to see the flower,
Yeah.
and she's just like, "This sucks ass. What is like? This is dumb. Life is
How much of my
unfulfilling."
life?
And
Yes.
honestly, he goes a little crazy, obviously giving her too much of an ending. But I really do think that's what the ending is, right? Oh, it's a flower. Fuck off.
All right, adaptation moves on. We are going to dive right into our first award of tonight. The biggest shithead. Ryan?
Yes. Oh, was
You're
that a
my
little
biggest-
joke?
It was like a little dig there, as if you're
Bit
the
of a-
biggest shithead, I think.
You know what? Honestly, looking at you two, I am the biggest shit. Goodbye. So as we have to do every season, we don't have a best villain award.
Villains are bad.
That's
is
too
why.
easy. What we have is biggest shithead. Speaking of Die Hard, I do think that what's his name is Alan Rickman is like the best actor in that movie,
Yeah.
best character. But biggest shithead
Ellis.
is Ellis. Ellis is our
Patron saint of
patron
shitheads.
saint of biggest shithead. Mike, the first nominee is Conklin, played by Chris Cooper from The Bourne Identity.
What a shit. What is his motivation other than to be a shithead to everybody around him? He's just trying to cover his own ass the whole time.
It's power for power's sake, and he's
Yes.
so transparent about it. But still, everybody's like, "Well, I guess I gotta do it."
And
Just
he's
a
trying
Kevin
to
McCarthy of a fucker.
he's trying to protect
that is it.
the CIA. He wants to protect all the rancid shit the CIA has done. He doesn't want anybody to know about it.
Greg, your next nominee is Kostya Novotny from 25th Hour.
Is this fucking Tony
It's
Saragusa?
Tony Siragusa.
Oh man, how do you make a movie about New York and then cast Tony Saragusa in it? You have him be a big fucking shit.
The first thing is like, hey, don't save that dog. Let him die on the street. But then the second scene that we see is like, oh, mom with baby. Hey, come here, suck my dick.
You want the half a Russian baby, huh?
Are Russians vampires?
Yeah, not a super interesting character, and then it's revealed that like he's the source of the betrayal, and it's like
he's the narc.
That makes sense.
And not only is he the narc, he tried to poison Monty against Natural, his girlfriend of like 10 years,
and someone who
did.
has literally never done one thing wrong ever.
Played by unnominated tonight Rosario Dawson.
We had room for one Rosario. She didn't make it.
Mike, your next nominee is Elizabeth Egan from Punch Drunk Love. The 2 weeks ago aforementioned Mary Rice Cup.
Marilyn Rice Cup. She is in a family of shitheads. She is the biggest by far in this. And in such a real, traumatizing, triggering way. I'm not going to name any names. I've met Elizabeth Egan too many times in my life, and it hurts to watch. Yeah, Rice Cup really made her a shit.
She acts like she's being imposed upon when she's really imposing on everybody. Like she acts like the world's being mean to her when she's being like so cruel to everyone around her.
I think that you should meet my brother. Meet the brother. Oh, I'm so sorry he acts like this. Just on the flip of a dime. Just like
we abused him until he got weird.
Sorry.
And that's his fault.
Do you respect though the I'm in a family of shitheads, what it takes to become the most shitheadiest?
Oh yeah, it's powerful. I'm turned on by it.
You know the one I'm most impressed by? The eldest sister who clearly like acts nice but allows everybody else to be so cruel.
She probably sends them off to do her cruel business.
Greg, the next nominee is Susan Orlean's husband from Adaptation.
Okay, here's why. They're at a party and they're all kind of making fun of Chrissy Coop's character, and she's already kind of feeling bad about that. And she's like, she has to get up to use the restroom, and she's like, "Don't tell this story about the van. Don't tell this story."
So
about
anyway,
the van.
about the van,
and then at first it's like kind of like he's teasing about it, but then he like fucking.
You can hear him from when she's in the bathroom. You can hear him telling that fucking story.
Hey, shithead, shut the fuck up, brother! Like you're the reason why she's so disillusioned with life. You fucking suck.
Just New York pretension.
I can't stand. I can't say in movies and in real life, adult dinner parties of this like conversation.
Yes.
It fucking kills me. So I have to podcast with you guys.
And all these people are like ostensible like liberals.
Yes.
But they're like absolutely mocking somebody who's just slightly different. And that's like not very liberal to it.
To a T, the rich East Coast liberal.
Yeah, they're like,
Do you know how many scarves are collectively owned by this table?
Oh, man. Nice ones, too.
If you also hate adult parties, you should check out PQ's song, Adult Party. It does a pretty good job at lampooning these people.
Mike, your final nominee, and I don't know if this guy's nominated because of his character or because of his personhood, but it's Harry Osborn from Spider-Man.
No, you know what? I tried to be legit, and just Harry Osborn is such a cry, whiny, rich piece of Columbia bullshit. And maybe I'm showing colors that I've run into Harry Osborn in real life too many times.
Perfect
but you shouldn't have crow's feet at 19, you little fuck.
He spends the whole movie acting like. Do you remember that scene where Crispin Glover tries to act in Back to the Future? Like, here's what he's going to tell Biff. This is how Harry Osborn is the entire movie. Of like, you know what, Pete? You said that you were done with her, and you said it was fine for me.
But in a way, I do think it works for the character. That never struck me as James Franco can't act there. It is Harry Osborn is such a paper-thin human being that he is trying to, like, he wants the vitality of his dad and doesn't have it. So he comes out whiny. It's like, and here's how I think the world owes me things.
And what a fucking power move to be like, my son sucks, but I'm going to make my son's best friend think that I like him just to punish my son. Awesome. Your nominees for biggest shithead are Conklin from The Bourne Identity, Elizabeth Egan from Punch Drunk Love, Harry Osborn from Spider-Man, Kostya Novotny from 25th Hour, and Susan Orlean's husband from Adaptation. I feel like, based on how we've talked, I feel like that dinner party fuck, that fucking fuck is the winner here. And your winner is, We All Have Sisters. It's Elizabeth Egan from Punch Drunk Love. Perfect.
Yeah, it's just too real, and she does such a good job.
Yeah, I think it's a figure we're more acquainted with.
We are going to take the quickest of breaks, and when we come back, more battles and more awards.
Hey guys, thank you so much for listening so far. And let me just tell you that everything ahead of this commercial is much better than what came before it. That's my guarantee. While I have you here, let me tell you about a website. It's called yourpopfilter.com. And it's everything you need that's related to Pop Filter. Everything Mike, everything Ryan, everything Greg, everything Cassie, everything is there at yourpopfilter.com. While you're there, go to yourpopfilter.com/Amazon. Make that your new Amazon bookmark and do your shopping from there. That way, we get a little piece of the action, and Amazon doesn't. Make sure you're also listening to everything that Pop Filter has to offer, which includes the Superhero Show, a podcast that covers every single TV show that's based on a comic book or comic book property, and Movie of the Year, where we sit down and try and figure out what is the single greatest movie of any given year. That's Superhero Show. That's Movie of the Year. And that's yourpopfilter.com. Rate, subscribe, review. Bye.
Russian Ark, your 50th seed versus your 10th seed, Minority Report. Another movies. They can be anything.
Now, but Minority Report is more than just an action movie, Ryan.
Uh-huh.
It's sci-fi. It's futurism. It's commentary on the human condition. How do we live with the knowledge of the future?
It's a thriller.
Cruise. I feel like that even more than a Spielberg movie is Spielberg, a Cruise movie is Cruise.
But isn't this one kind of like the least Cruise? Or like,
But not once he starts running.
Yeah.
Then he's all Cruise, baby. When he
and they all run,
tackles the guy with the worst jetpack,
yeah,
then you're like, Cruise, baby.
the world's worst jetpack.
We did best action, right? Best violence? I can't believe Anderton run. Or like everyone saying don't run.
Don't run. Do run.
Do run.
Run.
I really liked Russian Ark.
Uh-oh.
And it's really interesting. And I would recommend everybody see it just to
say that you have seen it.
Yeah.
Just to have something to push your glasses up about.
And because there's cool moments and it'll make you think. But Minority Report, man, it just feels like a major movie of 2002. Like you couldn't be part of the culture. You can't look back to the year. You can't even now like watch a sci-fi movie without reckoning with Minority Report.
02 is shit. We said a week ago that the cusp of CGI and practical effects and how they blend. But I think one of Spider-Man's problems is Spider-Man has turned into every 2 years there's a Spider-Man. This is Minority Report's year. And what it thought for good and ill the future would be, it's so much more drab and more boring and still gross is what the future actually is.
But the advertising is tailored directly to us.
Yeah. That was the creepiest part of his impression. Hey, you buy this thing.
I heard you talking about this. Buy it.
You
looked at these pants once. Buy these pants now.
Every spokesperson is Danny DeVito. Just like, hey, look at these pants. When we go like, if we had to make a list, and this is a weird list of like, fuck, man, Spielberg is great. So I'm not talking about Jaws or Close Encounters or Raiders or E.T. or any of that era, but like his later works, your war horses, if you will. Is Minority Report up there of like, fuck, man, damn.
Yeah. He still got it later, Spielberg, yeah.
I think one of the biggest mistakes that we've done as far as bracketing goes is leaving AI off the bracket because that's my all-timer. But with this, with Minority Report, with War of the Worlds, he just, every like 4 or 5 years, you have to put up with the war horses and the Amistads to get to this like, shit, dude.
And then he just cracks his neck and goes, I got to show the kids something.
I got to show them the adventures of Tintin.
Somebody's got to. Gentlemen, it's time to vote. Greg.
Yeah, I don't know that I realized that this would be as clear, but just hearing them listed, I was just like, without a doubt, it's Minority Report.
Ryan.
We will get to a point where I will stop saying this, but I can't now. It's Russian Ark.
Really? This is I loved Russian Ark, but I think Minority Report is an O2 buzzsaw for me.
And
Minority
it is ready?
Report moves on. It is ready.
Well, that's Bonesaw. Sorry, not buzzsaw.
Bonesaw's ready.
All saws are ready.
In
Next
the future,
up.
all saws are ready.
Round 2, Battle 4 is your 3rd seed, Catch Me If You Can, and your 22nd seed, Chicago.
I'm sorry, Mike. If I remember how brackets work, and I think that I do, if Catch Me If You Can moves on, it will be Spielberg v. Spielberg.
That is true. And now do you want to meta battle this out, or do you want to fight with honor?
I think that, like, if I was going to come up with the taste buds, it's like, guys, do you remember movies? Do you remember when studios made studio movie-ass movies? I think that both of these are. I think that both of them are, like, big budget and 4-quadrant. Like, couldn't you take your wife, your mom, and your niece to either one of these movies and they'd all love it?
Cuck, hang out with some bros.
No,
What's
dude.
your problem?
Guys are fucking boring. Have you guys talked to dudes?
That's true.
I would never.
Yeah,
They suck.
stupid. They watch Spike TV.
And we watch Spike Lee.
You know, I think what it's going to come down to for me is I felt this way the whole time we talked about it a couple weeks ago. Catch Me If You Can, every single element of it feels kind of perfect. And then for whatever reason, when you put it all together, it just doesn't quite get there. And I'm still kind of puzzled at that. Whereas Chicago, I really feel like it does everything perfectly. If there's a slight drawback in that I think that the singing could be better for some of the actors. But beyond
I should have done it.
Yeah. They all should have been played by Ryan.
I could have clumped that movie up.
But
so
besides that, like, I don't know. The soundtrack you could listen to all day, every day. The dance numbers are hot and they're fun and they're cool. The comedy is there.
I totally get the first thing that you said about Catch Me, which is like, this is a 10. Like, I did the math in my head.
Yeah.
But it's all mathematical and it's not
all
emotional.
science.
Right.
No screaming.
Right. Exactly. Which is a different kind of podcast. For me, like, Catch Me definitely gets me more emotional, I think, than it does Greg. But like, there are so many movies where I'm like, I get what everybody's saying, I just disagree.
Yeah.
You know, or like it's less than the sum of its parts.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, I think you especially see that in Tom Hanks and Leonardo DiCaprio, which, like, again, their individual performances you can't fault. But then why isn't there that synergy there? And
if it was
Spock.
Brad Pitt and George Clooney and it was called Ocean's 11 and had the script of Ocean's 11, now we are talking.
That is moving on, maybe. All right, so Ocean's 11 moves on.
Yeah,
Ocean's 11. What a great movie.
But voting for real, Ryan.
What are we doing? Catch Me If You Can.
Chicago and Catch Me If You Can.
Whereas the math, like, Chicago is very clearly laid out mathematically to get me and everyone and Oscars, and you can see the math and the science, and yet I keep going back to this U word. It's undeniable. I'm going with Chicago.
Undeniable. Greg.
Yeah, it's delivering so many different things. Chicago.
It really is. Chicago moves on. Coming up next, feels very apropos. It's award times for musical moment.
Oh, good timing.
Right now?
Yeah, right now.
Right now.
Not nominated, Mike, was Busker Performs the Spider-Man theme.
Delightful moment, and how true to New York is that? Almost even more true than you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us. Is an annoying busker singing a song that'll get stuck in your head the rest of the day.
And then also not nominated for me. I think this was a point of contention in the 24-hour Party People show where I can't remember where you landed, Mike, but I think my best musical moment and Greg's worst musical moment was the same.
Louie.
Which was Louie Louie. Everybody
I
on
loved
stage,
Louie Louie.
everybody on stage being like, let's take this song that nobody likes and make it worse.
Only one part in any movie we've done over the last 8 years for 2002 did I go, I want to be there right now. And it's that.
Even over Macy Gray singing at the parade of celebration.
I know a big gargoyle thing would fall on my head.
I wish I had been a part of the Spider-Man Mary Jane upside down kiss. I wish I also could have been there,
sure.
smooching on both of them.
Oh, just a hot 3-way kiss.
Yeah.
Greg, just your head comes
And
in from a
maybe
different
coming in
weird
another
angle.
Weird angle, yeah.
Yes.
They both close their eyes, not knowing that those are Greg's cheeks.
Oh, he's beardier than I thought. She's beardier than I thought.
Mike, unfortunately, Spider-Man and 24-Hour Party People could not be nominated in this category.
Yeah.
We are 5 for 5, gentlemen. I believe this is the first time. Mike, I'm going to start with you.
The Chicago 5.
With All That Jazz.
All That Jazz kicks off the whole movie, and it lets you know this is going to be fun. This is going to be sexy. Tay is going to be just in the background being fun and sexy. And get used to watching a dope performance and crazy action happen at the same time, the way they flash back and forth.
I love All That Jazz because as being a person, like I'll go, like I have to talk to 3 other people and I will hyperventilate before I have to do it. Whereas Catherine Zeta-Jones is like, I just murdered somebody, wipe my hands off, put my cigarette out, and now I'm going to go perform All That Jazz.
Don't be a Ryan. Be a Catherine Zeta.
I think I went to Greg last time for this one, so I'll go to you, Mike, again for Cell Block Tango musical moment.
I mean, what do you need out of a musical moment? It's sultry. It's a great song. It's sexy. It gives you 6 stories in 5 minutes.
Do you remember all the words?
Yes. Oh, I thought you meant of the song, but you mean their 6 words?
Pop,
Yeah.
squish, Cicero.
6.
Nuh-uh.
Lip shits?
Lip
Lip
shits.
shit. There you go.
Greg, the next one is Mr. Cellophane.
Oh, yeah. Dude, Mr. In Cellophane. Because you can look right through him, pass right by him, and never know he's there. This could have been a slow, sucky moment for the show, but it actually, like, it does a good job of being compelling. John C. Reilly does a good job singing and dancing. Not the low point it could have been.
I was so stoked this was nominated because I'm such a huge fan of it. I talked about it a lot in the Chicago episode. So, Greg, the next one is Roxy, with all the dudes being like, she's gonna do
Foxy, Roxy, heart.
that one.
Yeah. Who doesn't love Roxy?
And then, Mike, she wasn't nominated for Best Actress, but she did sing When You're Good to Mama.
I mean, I feel like there was a lot of hooting and hollering and turned into cartoon wolves just talking about that song. And I think she's great throughout the movie, but the proof of concept of why Queen Latifah should be in Chicago is, well, 1, you should get an actual singer, and 2, it's this song specifically.
Is that a bad idea, though? Because then you have to compare her to Richard Gere and Renee Zellweger.
Yeah, then Richard Gere is there, and he's like, I don't know. I think because Billy is such a shithead, it works.
No Mr. Razzle Dazzle, no...
You
she
both
went for
reach
the gun.
Yeah.
The puppets.
So Richard Gere is not. We have 5 other songs here. Your nominees are All That Jazz, Cell Block Tango, Mr. Cellophane, Roxy, and When You're Good to Mama, all from the movie Chicago. Gentlemen, what do you think? 1.
I'm going to say When You're Good to Mama.
Cell Block Tango.
Cell Block Tango is the
Yes.
moment of the year.
Yeah, that is such an impressive number. Very fun, very hot.
Well, congratulations, Cell Block Tango. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, round 3, battle 1.
Hola, Filterinos. I just wanted to interrupt real briefly and say thank you for listening. Thank you for your support. If you want to support us a little more directly, you can go to patreon.com/yourpopfilter. There, depending on what tier you pick, $1 a month, $5 a month. If you're crazy, anything more than $5 a month, don't do that. You can get extra content. There's extra shows, extra series, behind-the-scenes stuff. You could pay for Ryan to draw you a picture. I can write you a poem. You can get the shirts off our very own backs. All of that and so much more over at patreon.com/yourpopfilter. While you're on the internet, you should check out Shady Monk. He does all the tunes you've been listening to. He's on Bandcamp, he's on Spotify, SoundCloud, wherever kids get their music these days that I'm too old to know. Shady Monk lives there. You can probably follow him on Twitter and Instagram as well. That's Shady Monk. Wherever you get music, check him out.
Taste Buds, your round 3 first battle is your 40th seed, Talk to Her, versus your 12th seed, Adaptation.
Uh-oh.
Well, here's the finals, gentlemen.
That's Chicago.
Well,
Here's the
Greg.
West Coast finals in the NBA.
Talk to Her is challenging. It is upsetting. I think it shows you bad people, and then before it's done, it's like, and you're kind of one of them. And it is more multimodal than I think we have given it credit for when we've talked about it. Like there's little skits in the middle. There's that we haven't talked about it, but we talked about it a lot on the episode. But the talk show where the lady bullfighter is like, I don't want to talk about my the problems I'm having with my ex-boyfriend, and the talk show host won't let her talk about anything else, and then like tries to like tackle her.
It's as weird as a man walking into a vagina.
Yeah, the weirdness of the movie and the way that becomes like a major like lever that delivers its meaning. It, like, I don't want to be melodramatic, but like you do kind of like come away from this movie changed, challenged, and you don't feel great, but changed.
And like, you know, we've talked about Spike Lee all night, even after he's gotten booted. I'll say booted instead of canceled. Spike Lee has not been canceled, but like those Almodovar moments are what I am looking for. Is like, no, you could have given this script to 1,000 other directors, and no one would have done your shit, Spike and Pedro.
But adaptation, again, like I think you could say all those things.
Yeah, they're shitty.
Yeah,
People, you come away shitty because the whole time you're like, well, I'm one of these dumbass Kaufman brothers.
And then there's one additional element without sacrificing much of anything else. There is this additional element, which is it is so entertaining. Like it is so funny and so interesting, and especially if you're a big like Kaufman guy like we are, the way it's nestled into like being John Malkovich and getting to see elements of that, just very delightful.
Plus the catchphrases that have wormed their way into my life. If you ask me any question and you don't respond like I want, I will say, but Mom said it was psychologically taught.
Mom said it was psychologically taught.
Well, which one does Mom say is psychologically taught, gentlemen? Which is moving on?
I think it's adaptation.
I love adaptation. I feel like I'm too close to adaptation, which is not anything to take away from Talk to Her. I think that Talk to Her is revelatory. I have to go with Talk to Her.
Wow.
Which,
Ryan,
like,
I'm impressed.
before we started 02, I was like, oh, this is the adaptation season. But I can't. Did I already say that in this episode?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I don't know. We talk a lot to each other. But adaptation moves on. But I'm impressed by your bravery.
I'm a brave person.
You're a brave little boy. Next up, we're going to switch things up and going back to an award, Best Actor.
Mike, not nominated. Tobey Maguire. You were the only one who thought that he should be nominated.
I think he does great. He's such a good Peter Parker in Spider-Man. His weird gravelly voice.
I think he's great, too. Also not nominated. Nominated for an Oscar, but not here, was Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah, Bill the Butcher's an interesting character. It's fun to watch him do it, but I don't know. I think the taint of that movie is too much to overcome.
Plus, like,
So much taint.
it feels like SNL. Like, I'm Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah.
Mike, the first nominee is one Happy Gilmore from Billy Madison.
This changed his life and ours. Nobody knew he could do this except for PTA, and damn it, it's amazing.
I'll be goddamned if it's not amazing.
I'll be goddamned. I love Adam Sandler so much, and when he's like, "Oh, Rage isn't just funny; it's also disturbing," you're like, "Yeah, Adam, that's the song I want to hear you play. This is disturbing to watch."
Yeah, watching him get like wound up and then release.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Also, it's nice to see him in a suit. I feel like you're always seeing the Sandman in sweatpants or basketball shorts, but nice to see him dressed up in a suit.
Yeah, that blue fucking suit.
That he wears the entire movie, and that people never stop being like, "So you're still wearing the suit, huh? Okay."
I don't know if this is insulting, so I'm going to do this to both of you. I'm going to say Dario Grandetti and Javier Camara from Talk to Her are both nominated. Therefore, we could just talk about the performances and together, and I don't have to look up to see, because they're not stars, so I don't know which one is
Yeah,
which. Right.
There's Benino, the guy that on face value is the creepier of the two, who seems to be kind of like initiating the reporter.
I'd say he's still creepier.
Yeah, but by the end of the movie, I don't know. I think that his initial creepiness is shown to be sort of just like an outer coating that both men have the same sort of creepy core.
One rape, they don't both rape, right? Doesn't just Benino rape Coma Lady?
Yeah, I don't think that.
No, on a like a thematic level,
Right.
he doesn't actually do that in the same way that nobody turns into a little man and then crawls into the woman, but he enters into the same type of relationship with her where she becomes like his doll. Or
Again, breaking less laws.
yeah, but he's still going to try to do that thing where it's like, I know what your lived experience is probably like, and so I'm going to like adopt it or something like that.
And I'm a man, so I should be in charge of a woman, and I can't do that in real life, so I'm going to do that in coma life. Like I'm going to take over. I'm going to kick the door down and take over here.
Yeah, and it's kind of shown that he was already doing that in their relationship a little bit. I always think of that scene. The movie's called Talk to Her, right? And the last thing his girlfriend says to him before getting put in that coma is, "We need to talk." And he's like, "We've been talking." And she's like, "Actually, you've been talking. I have something I need to tell you." And so I think that like on face value, one of them seems creepier, but then it's kind of shown to just connect back to the same core.
I think that. Go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
As I was going to say, as performances, the way they blend and hopscotch and double dutch all around between who you empathize with and how, like, you can't get two chuds to play these roles. Like, they are phenomenal.
It couldn't be you and it couldn't be Mike and Greg. It would have to be me and me. I would clump this movie up and I would kill it.
That's not a verb, Ryan. You can't say you're gonna clump things. Okay, nobody knows what that means.
I like it. I think he can clump anything he wants.
On first viewing, it seems like, hey, you do way less and you do way more, right? As performances, and that's actually not true. Like the guy who doesn't play Benino, what's the other character's name?
Oscar. I don't know.
Oscar. Is giving very little, but Benino is actually not giving that much. This is not a Robin Williams Al Pacino performance. You know,
No.
you think that he is, because he's supposed to be like the weirdo, the obvious weirdo, but they're both sort of like getting you in their beams and bringing you in. Greg, the next nominee is Nicolas Cage from the movie Adaptation.
Well, if you're playing two parts, that's acting.
If you're clumping.
If you're clumping, as the kids call it, that's acting. And it's what's really fun is that a lot like the fellas from Talk to Her, these characters get shown, they're twin brothers who couldn't seem more different, and then yet the movie explores how similar they really are. And that becomes like a fun element of it, is watching how they really are cut from the same cloth.
Because they're the same guy.
Because
they're
they're
Charlie
the same
Kaufman
exact
divided
person.
in half.
I know, but like, wouldn't you expect a lesser screenwriter to show us flashbacks of when they were kids and their parents now and like how they shaped them? And
I feel like a lesser screenwriter would have had one brother be
black.
Would be very cool, and the other one be very dorky. And instead,
sunglasses
he shows
indoors.
How the cool one is also as dorky, but he just thinks he's cool, and so that actually kind of makes him cool.
And also to get us to understand why, like, I don't want to be around Donald. He fucking sucks. But I also, when Charlie is like talking shit, I'm like, hey, don't treat Donald like that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, you would accept. Like, you accept somebody talking to themselves that way, but you wouldn't accept somebody talking to another character that way.
Mikey, we have one more spot left, and we had to give it to Doug Cougs.
Doug Cougs. He carries this movie. I'm surprised he isn't on his back the way Donald is, because he carries this movie. It would not be the same without him. 24-hour party people should say that. Don't remember his character's name. But the way he is
Oscar.
just owns...
Tony Wilson?
Huh? It's Oscar Tony Wilson. And he's so funny. He's so smarmy. Even though he's despicable, he makes you want to watch him. He's a magnetic.
Your nominees are Adam Sandler from Punch Drunk Love, Dario Grandetti from Talk to Her, Javier Camara from Talk to Her, Nicolas Cage from Adaptation, and Steve Coogan from 24-Hour Party People. And your winner is, gentlemen, hopefully, I don't know if this gives away too much for the rest of the night, but it's Nicolas Cage from Adaptation.
Who could have guessed?
He played two roles. He clumped it.
That bitch be clumping.
He clumping. congratulations, Nick Cage. You can come pick up your award at the Pop Filter Studios in sunny Burbank, California. And let's move on to round 3, Battle 2.
Sorry, Mike, but I'm starting to feel a little bit of patron saint. I'm starting to feel a little bit of Hall of Fame. Is this guy not in the Pop Filter Hall of Fame?
Nick Cage is not. No,
That's crazy.
I mean, how often do we give each other face-offs?
Yes.
we do. We face off each other
We
a lot more
constantly
than
face each other. I don't even know who I am anymore.
Our wives have asked us to stop doing it, but we don't.
Yeah.
My
They're
wife
like,
has,
I actually don't find you all equally
Our
attractive.
bodies are not similar at all, so it's very clear when we've done it.
every time I put Mike's face on me and I go to bed, she's like, "Oh, Fat Mike is here. Great, let's do this."
Man, I hear that a lot too, though.
I think we've all been called Fat Mike at least once.
All of the NoFX cover bands we're in.
Your next battle is Minority Report versus Chicago.
Oh God, guys, we were so close to Spielberg v. Spielberg.
We were so close, but we couldn't do it. It was our failing.
And because of that, I think that Spielberg is gone.
I would not have expected at the beginning of the season that Catch Me If You Can is the Spielberg that got kicked out later. It really took rewatching both of them to my estimation has changed of those two movies.
Do you know what, dude? It's this cruise thing of like, oh, he just makes average action movies. But can I also bring up Edge of Tomorrow / Live Die Repeat? I'm
Dude,
just like,
Edge of Tomorrow's dead.
just the best
all we
fucking
need is
movie.
kill.
All we need is kill. I think that Top Gun Maverick was finally, or maybe the Mission Impossible movies, where it's like, we should go see his movies, I guess.
Yeah.
But in this particular matchup, I do feel like I'm judging the high points versus the high points, and Chicago's coming out just a scotch ahead.
Would you say Chicago is undeniable?
In this particular matchup, it feels like that. So this is as close a matchup as I feel like we've experienced in 2002. But it's, if anything, it's making me really remember how entertaining Chicago is. When we started this year, I was like, oh, Chicago, that'll be like a really fun watch. But about
Like
halfway,
a lark.
Yeah, kind of. And then halfway
What a
through
lark.
it, it's like, wow, this is almost too good to remember how good it all
Yeah.
is.
Also,
Your brain can't handle it. They should have sent a poet.
one Best Picture at the Oscars?
Yeah.
Like, that's, so you're going to get trashed then. Like, we're going to watch you and we're going to trash your ass because
Yeah.
you won
Musical
Best Picture.
Green Book.
What, do you crash?
You know, I guess it doesn't go for that schlocky, maudlin, like, and then here's a message, right? Like, it's very much like nobody's right.
Pop
Yeah, the
quiz.
cynic.
What was
in
movie
it.
of the year for 1991?
It wasn't Terminator 2.
It wasn't Terminator. Not Terminator 2, Ryan.
It was The Signs of the
The
Lambs.
Langoliers.
Oh, yeah,
Winner of
Signs
Best
of the
Picture at the
Lambs.
Oscars that year.
Oh, no.
There's a precedent
Well-
that's set.
I mean, sometimes our likes align with theirs. I think that Chicago does have broad appeal, but it has broad appeal that doesn't sacrifice to achieve it.
Correct. Amundo, as the kids say. Ryan, vote.
It's Chicago.
Greg?
Chicago.
Undeniable.
Undeniable.
Chicago. Before we take a break, let's talk about Best Actress.
Not nominated, Mike, was David Chase, the voice of Lilo from Lilo and Stitch. I'm sorry, buddy.
She's great. She's adorable. Lilo should be a bigger character in the Disney pantheon.
Greg, your first nominee is the oft-talked about across these 3 episodes, Diane Lane from Unfaithful.
Yeah, besides being, enchanting and beautiful and everything, she's got like a tough road to travel in this, because she's both guilty and titillated by what she's doing. And I think she does, as exemplified by the train scene where she's like sort of alternating between laughing and crying. That's the biggest, most obvious moment of it, but you see her navigate that throughout. And again, I just wish the movie had like sort of the faith to see it through all the way to the end and not, I don't know, take a weird right turn and suddenly become a thriller.
I'm now remembering in our lost episode where we actually picked a different scene where the movie turned, and that's when she meets her 2 friends at a restaurant.
Oh yeah, and then she bangs Paul in the
They
bathroom.
She bangs Paul in the bathroom, but they're like, oh, if you do this, then like I ruined my life. I don't know what you're doing, Diane Lane, but I know that I ruined my life, and because I was a cunt. And then the other one's like, oh, you slut, get it, just get it. And then we're like, oh, okay, now we get what the movie is saying exactly. But Diane
In case
Lane,
anybody missed it.
Diane Lane rises above every scene that is poorly written.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mike, your next nominee is from a little movie called Chicago. It's Renee Zellweger.
Chicago. Where did she go? She is so phenomenal. Gave us Bridget Jones 1. I'm not going to talk about the other Bridget Jones movies. Jerry Maguire.
You got to
and
take
then
a
this.
stand.
She appeared again recently, and she looked really different, and that was like a big story.
That was a big
and then
thing.
she was in a couple things.
She won a Best Actress Oscar a couple years ago for a movie called Judy.
Oh.
And then also, Mike, didn't she before this, besides Bridget Jones, also wear an orange apron?
And it's confusing because Music Town's rules say you can't wear anything but revealing, but then they give their employees just an apron to wear. Does not make sense. Does not make sense, Joe. And that's a great musical moment. Sugar High on top of Empire Records.
For sure. Sugar High rules.
But in here, I think
So she had her musical bona fides before that on that roof.
Far and wide. I think she's so good, and you forget because she's in like rom-com and lighter fare, and then she comes in here and just crushes all the shitty, awesome, like watchable protagonists that AMC and HBO would make their bones with later. Like,
What is
she
that?
is that piece of garbage.
What is that about her besides misogyny? That like every time she's in a movie, like when you see the trailer for Jerry Maguire or Chicago or Bridget Jones or whatever, you're like, but Renee Zellweger, why? I don't like her. No, bitch, you do. You know that you do.
And I do think it's because her films are like, this is a serious movie, like The King's Speech. Like, there are fun in her movies, and that bothers people.
She is dope. All right, next up, Greg, is Emily Watson from Punch Drunk Love.
That's the girlfriend?
Yes.
Yeah, my favorite part of this movie, I think, is when they finally, like, begin their relationship together, and you see them, like, open up to each other. And I felt like that was the realest, it's an intimate moment in the movie, and it feels genuinely intimate. And she's a huge part of the reason why.
I always go back to the scene of them in the hotel room where she's on the phone with biggest shithead of the year, Elizabeth Egan, and just lying to her, basically. And then also the end where she's like, hey, I know you are Adam Sandler, but you can't act like this anymore. Like you can't treat me like shit. You can be as weird as you want to the world and to yourself, but you can't treat me like this anymore.
But you can't just like sort of shuffle out of the picture
Buffalo.
for a while.
Let's go with Mike. The next nominee is two-time nominee tonight, Samantha Morton, but this time for Morven Collar.
I mean, what a year. What a year for Morton.
The year of Morton is how we refer to it, basically.
Morton
the year of
Collar.
Morton. And such different roles, except that they both have very tenuous
Milk.
grasps on reality and connections to reality and how they're supposed to act. And I should only talk about, right? It's hard to not talk about both at once, but
honestly, if a little bit of her performance in Minority Report slips into her winning this, I'm fine with that.
Just a bit of a thumb on a scale.
Yeah.
It's for a pretty quiet movie, despite the fact that she does hack up a body in underwear, to carry that on your shoulders without doing much. When we constantly say we want an actor to do two things at once, she's constantly doing 3 or 4 things, but not in a twitchy eye, obvious way. Yeah, she's phenomenal.
I mean, that's the thing that I think Ramsey does amazingly is say, like, what if the camera stayed on the person who is not the extrovert, but like the introvert faking extroversion? And I'm going to keep the camera on there to watch what she looks at and why she looks at it, and Morton and Ramsey, like this should have been like a De Niro Scorsese pairing. Like the two of them should have made 1 million movies together.
They both fucked up.
Greg, your final nominee is not supporting actress Meryl Streep, but as you screamed about in our first episode of the finale, lead actress Meryl Streep from Adaptation.
Yeah, I mean, what would the movie be without her? And she gets to do the same thing Chris Cooper did, which is we get like different versions of her, but all in a way that feels like it harkens back to the same character. She almost becomes like a gangster at the end of this movie. And another thing that we got is like very like flirty girlish version of her, which I feel like I haven't seen in a lot of movies, and she really carries very effectively.
There's something about Streep's talent, and I mean talent in like acting talent that sort of makes us think that she's not a babe, but
Yeah.
she's a babe.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, yeah, she's a kind of like a world apart because she's like a generational talent,
Right.
and she's like maybe
Yeah.
the most talented actor that we have. But she is also extremely cute, and she brings out that cuteness and girlishness that the guy she's profiling brings out in her, and like we see it kind of like generate in her, and it's just very real.
Something that her white husband, shithead cuck, could never bring out in her. You know, like he's so all about this table and impressing people that.
Well, no, because adults talk like this and make jokes like this.
Yeah, but maybe keep the toes away next time.
Not for everybody. Some people are happy to see those toesies, Ryan.
Your nominees for Best Actress of the Year are Diane Lane from Unfaithful, Emily Watson from Punch Drunk Love, Meryl Streep from Adaptation, Renee Zellweger from Chicago, and Samantha Morton from Morgan Carlo. This has to be our biggest, best lineup of any.
Yeah, I
Sometimes
agree
it's
with that.
hard to get the Best Actress
Yes.
nominees together.
Yeah, I agree with that. And if this is not going to go to Morton, I'm going to have some salt.
Hand me the envelope, please.
Ryan, here's the envelope.
I now have the envelope.
Yes.
Oh, wait, Morton Salt, like the girl with the umbrella?
You already tore the envelope open.
Oh,
Everybody
shit.
could hear.
Should I read it?
Yeah.
La La Land.
You guys remember
joke.
from the Oscars?
It's a classic Oscars
Classic
joke.
joke.
What if it did win Best Actress, though? Like, what if that's when they read it? Who would go to the stage? It's
They
Samantha
all kinda
Morton
look at
from
Emma.
Morgan Caller.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
goodness. Salt need not apply.
Yeah, Greg was gonna just throw salt in our eyes, I think.
A couple slugs would probably boil if I did that.
Ouch.
Even though I have seen other Lynn Ramsey movies, and like it was Samantha Morton was the revelation here, right?
Yes.
Like, just
Yes.
you are a talent, and again, I don't know where you are in movies today.
She is so good in this that I was like, do I need to watch those seasons of Walking Dead that I did not watch
Oh, yeah,
because
she
she's
was
the main
the
villain?
The
Alpha?
faceless, the alpha.
She's
there you go.
alpha. And I was like, I didn't watch any of those. And now I'm like, should I
Do you know
just
why?
for her?
'Cause
No,
you're a
I'm not gonna
beta.
do that. I'm a beta cuck.
Yeah.
Just like Meryl Streep's husband. All right, we're not going to take a break, gentlemen.
No
we're going to
breaks.
rip off this Band-Aid. And this is one of those, I would not have predicted this, but it makes so much sense. Your 12th seed, Adaptation, versus your 22nd seed, Chicago. Nobody in the top 10 is in this fight.
Well, I mean,
That seems
importantly,
crazy.
nobody in the top 8, which is what we usually do 8 movies
Oh, yeah,
per season,
that's what
right?
matters. Yeah.
Sorry
I forgot
to,
what we did.
And so does this validate our enterprise then? That-
Yeah.
I mean, we had some low seeds.
60s. There's several in the 60s.
We were like a useless blackboard, no chalk. But I don't think at the beginning of the season we would have predicted this, but it feels very right now. And I think in big part is because I was like underappreciating how good Chicago is.
Mm-hmm.
If I could be honest, I would say it would be Adaptation versus something very smart. So, like, the reason that I'm surprised is that, like, Adaptation's going all the way against something that's, like, more indie
Talk
and
to her.
foreign. Like, Talk to
Yeah.
Her or Russian Ark would be it. And then we would have to decide, who are we?
Yeah, like are we the
As people.
Hollywood or are we the
But right now, I'm sort of thinking, like, I might be Hollywood as fuck, bro.
One of these movies is very us on the surface, but one of these movies, if you get to know all three of us together and
I know.
separately, is very us. And I think there's a word that has been said throughout the entire finale series that I think means something, and it's undeniable.
Oh, is that the word? It's undeniably that word.
It's you cannot deny it's undeniable. So dive right in, Greg.
I'm going to go with Adaptation, which I felt this whole season was building towards adaptation. And it's not, if you had said at the beginning of the season, I would have said it's a slam dunk over a movie like Chicago. And I don't think that at all. I enjoyed Chicago. I love it. It's my second favorite movie from this season.
Is that true?
Yeah, I think so. I think that there. I think.
Sorry, I didn't mean to call you out. But
No,
like,
no, no, I
how
think that-
awesome is that to like have the top two be your top two?
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
didn't think that was the case until we really started getting into it on the show where we did Chicago, and then tonight it's been very clear because there is something clarifying about seeing the movies squared up against each other. You wouldn't necessarily think it, but there just is. Like, there's some part of you speaks to you when you see them opposed to one another, and you kind of go with whatever that voice inside your head says. And Chicago was destroying everything it was up against for me up until this point. There's an extra gear for adaptation, even though Chicago is the one that has a gear in it. There is just some additional thing you're getting out of adaptation that is like scratching that filmic itch, that's scratching that literary itch that I think just gets it a little bit more than Chicago does for me.
Do you guys think we'll ever do a season that has 2 Richard Gere movies in it? That's crazy, right?
Like another one, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe sometime in the 80s.
American Gigolo, where he shows his wiener.
His whole wiener.
His whole wiener.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Man.
We're
That's a lot to see.
That's just have such as an innocent reaction. Oh, man.
what I want to do is see that butt and that gerbil fall out of it.
Oh, man.
All the Chicago movie stuff we've been talking about, and about how like, oh, we're gonna sing a song and we're gonna go to the stage, but then also I keep going back to like, there's a part where like the paddy wagon drives away. Is that okay to say?
For us, yes, because we're Irish.
Okay.
You're quite a bit of a patty.
Okay, so that paddy wagon drives away, and it's the most Dick Tracy thing you've ever seen. You know, so
Yes.
like this movie as fuck. But going into adaptation, I was like, this is your favorite movie. Shut the fuck up. Get that incel internet boy off your shoulder, because like he can't control you. And then I watched it, and I was like, no, fuck that, fuck this, fuck that. It's the best movie. It's the fucking best movie. It's adaptation, Mike.
2 adaptations. I love it. I agree. I love adaptations, but I do think Chicago's undeniable. And did you guys hear? I just got old because I said adaptations. I pluralized it for no reasons.
But okay, now we have to do the test, right? Which is we have crowned adaptation 2002's movie of the year. Doesn't it sound right? Isn't it right there?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, didn't we do it? Didn't we come to the right conclusion?
I came into this ring, and I don't know why we do this, but we dressed the studio up like a boxing ring for these nights. And I came in, I really wanted Talk to Her to win. I was going to do it. I really was going to do it. But adaptation is, if not my brain, it is my heart.
And also, again, it's worth noting, like, we're not saying it's definitely a better movie than. We're saying it's 2002's movie of the year.
Yes. And you guys said it together. Undeniable.
Undeniable.
It even stole the word of Chicago. It doesn't feel wrong. I'm not upset, even though.
No, it feels. I mean, the only reason that it feels wrong is because of how fucking predictable it is that the three of us would name it.
Well, I'm gonna take off the crown that I wear every week.
No, Mike, I'm gonna miss it so much.
And
I
have crown sores
with your overuse of the drop pad and your stuttering hosting
You can go
suck a fuck.
and your miscongeniality.
You missed congeniality.
Like him. You know what? You're gonna miss me when I'm gone, as they say, and you're definitely gonna miss.
It's so much longer than you think it is.
Underused that all season.
That's
You're welcome.
true.
Greg, the crown is yours.
Skadoosh.
Would you like to...
Oh, yeah. We're about to enter into the skadoosh
I
era.
couldn't wait even 1/2 of 1 second for unleashing my first skadoosh.
As your first act of the host of next season, would you like to tell everybody what season we're doing?
I am happy to announce that we will be doing 1973, a important year in film history, and a year that has many important horror movies, which I did not realize before I picked it. I knew there was Exorcist, and I was like, that's okay, I'll do Exorcist. This is not a big deal. What I did not realize is that there's like 4 other movies that are also very high up in there that are...
Greg's going to get spooked.
One of them is like Wicker Man. There's another one... I don't know. I can't remember each one of them.
Scream, Blackula Scream.
Scream, Blackula Scream,
yeah.
obviously, which we're gonna go for. But I was drawn to 73 because the movies in the 70s fascinate me. 75 was one of our best years, and there's just a lot of really good choices, and so I'm excited about it. It's hard to narrow the field down, and I don't know a ton about the movies of 73, but I looked over the list and I was excited, and we'll be doing it in the, what is it, the 40th anniversary
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? That's fucked up.
Hot.
Congratulations to adaptation, but fuck you, 2002. We are done.
Yeah, dude.
We are ready for 73.
Fuck
Get the
you.
fuck out of
Get
here.
out of here. We're
Also the
73
50th
boys now.
anniversary.
Also,
73 boys.
incredible job hosting.
Too many boys.
Yeah,
this
good job,
season.
Mike.
You did good.
Thank you. Despite that you said very
You
specific.
just said the opposite of that.
Well, no, I had
Grounded.
a lot of thoughts. I had a lot of notes.
Yeah.
We're complex
I
guys.
could tell. Yeah, just like
Just like
adaptation.
73.
Also, if there's
The
not a
winner.
Richard Gere movie from 1973, I'm walking.
Out.
I'm out.
Full out. You know what? It's been a pleasure hosting. Listeners, I know it's been a pleasure listening to us for these 8 years in 2002.
I
See you in
know it's been a
73.
pleasure listening to us.
Until then, keep watching those movies. So, while Americans overwhelmingly support the right of an individual to make their own decisions about abortion, unfortunately, that right is no longer protected anywhere in the U.S. The Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade on June 24th. Abortion is a basic healthcare need for millions of people who can become pregnant. Restricting access to comprehensive reproductive care, including abortion, threatens the health and independence of all Americans. Even if you live in a state where abortion rights are upheld, access to safe medical procedures shouldn't be determined by location, and it shouldn't be the privilege of a small few. And we're already seeing certain medical practices be restricted even in those states. You can help by donating to local abortion funds. To find out where to donate for each state, visit donationsforabortion.com. That's the number 4, donationsforabortion.com. If you or someone you know needs help, or if you want to get more involved, here are 5 resources. 1. Shout Your Abortion is a campaign to normalize abortion. 2. Don't Ban Equality is a campaign for companies to take a stand against abortion restrictions. 3. Abortion.cafe has information about where to find clinics. 4. PlantCpills.org provides early at-home abortion pills that you can keep in your medicine cabinet. And 5. Choice.crd.co. That's choice.crd.co has a collection of these resources and more. You can also find all the links to these resources at podvoices.help and in the show notes. We encourage you to speak up, take care, and spread the word.